California court invalidates law requiring Trump tax return. That was to prevent Trump from getting on the ballot in California. But it did not apply to gubernatorial candidates. First time ever. Got this letter from the Secretary of State, Democrat. Here are the following reasons why you might be disqualified. No declaration of candidacy was filed. Doesn't apply. Nomination signature requirement was not met. Doesn't apply. No income tax return disclosure, consent, and acknowledgement form was filed. Doesn't apply. No income tax return were filed. Doesn't apply. The only box checked, listen to this. Incomplete, redacted, or unredacted income tax returns were filed. We filed both redacted and unredacted tax returns. So I guess what they're saying is we redacted something that shouldn't have been redacted, or we didn't redact something that should have been redacted. Never has anybody been disqualified from a ballot here in California for a reason like that. This morning, I'll see you in court. Out. Don't forget to go to electelder.com, because we have a state to save.
All right. Welcome to the Larry Elder Show. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky. The number to call in is 888-971-7243. We're coming to you live from the relieffactor.com studio. And you heard the clip of Larry Elder there. You guys know that the special election is set for, or the recall election is set for September 14th. And I knew something like this would happen. Listen, when you're dealing with leftists, particularly when it comes to California, they are going to play hardball. I can remember thinking, I don't know if I said it on air on my local show here, I'm not sure. But when Larry Elder, when I found out that he was going to file, automatically I started thinking, these guys are going to play dirty. They're going to make it extremely difficult for him to get on the ballot, whatever it takes, just because of his name recognition and the fact that, listen, he's a great candidate. Right out of the box, he's the best candidate on the Republican side, in my opinion. And I think the left knows it. And I think the left is completely concerned about that. If you recall, Newsom's campaign missed a deadline to submit his Democratic Party affiliation for the ballot. And a judge ruled that he couldn't do it. So can you imagine that? You're in the state of California. You have a bunch of lemmings that vote Democrat just because there's a D after your name, and all of a sudden you don't get to be called the Democrat on the ballot. Now, Newsom is the governor, so you would assume that people in California would be intelligent enough to say, okay, this is the governor or what have you. But maybe with some ads, I'm not sure. You know, you go back to the day where Newsom is in that while everyone else is locked down, and Governor Newsom is chilling with him with his homies in that very fancy, expensive restaurant, unmasked, with the elites, not caring about the peons. Man, let me tell you what this is. And then I'm gonna tell you the threat that Larry Elder poses to the California Democratic Party. This is payback. Gavin Newsom couldn't be on the ballot or marked as a Democrat. Hey, let's some shenanigans here and there. Let's make it very difficult for Larry Elder. So the list of candidates is missing Elder, the Republican. Now, there are 21 other Republicans in the race, 8 Democrats. There's a Libertarian. There's 9 independents. There's 2 Green Party candidates. But let me tell you what's going down deep. What's really happening? What the left really fears. Let me take you back to a story. This is me rewinding, I don't know, 20, 22, 23 years ago of my life. And I was getting into some trouble with the law right here in Orlando, Florida. And I was trying to change my life and talking to anybody that I could, particularly when it came to small business. And I have a cousin that's still in business to this day and very successful in the construction industry, building homes, custom homes, and doing a great job at it. And I was just picking his brain. I was asking him questions, and now he's really country in the way that he speaks. And, I asked him, I was like, how do I get to the next level? How do I build a business? How do I start a business? All of these questions that, I was just inquiring of people. There were a lot of people that I was around that were business owners. And so entrepreneurship, always kind of, just struck my interest. And I'll never forget what my cousin said. So snowflakes, brace yourselves. But he said, I do what them white boys do. I do what them white boys do. He said I do what them white boys do. He's country, all right? I do what them white boys do. And I'm like, okay, that sound pretty racist. I was a snowflake at the time. What do you mean by that? And then he went on to explain. He's got a wife. He's got a couple of kids. And he said, I just watch what successful people do, particularly successful white people. Now, he meant something else, which I'll explain in a sec, but I knew what he was saying. He said, here's what I do, Carl, in order to succeed. I make sure I pay my bills on time. I pay off my debts. I work hard. I establish a good reputation with my clientele. He said, when it comes to his kids, when my kids turn 16, I'm going to make sure that they can have a vehicle that they can take to school, so on, etc. I'm going to make sure that I save so that they can have enough money if they so choose to go to college or buy a house or do something they want. So I'm working my tail off to make sure that they succeed. And, I'm not going to go crazy in the streets. I'm married. I got my kids. We're building our life together. Now, he was half crazy sometimes, but nonetheless, he got these fundamental principles that were conservative. Faith, family, his family went to church, faith, family, freedom. He wanted to be independent. He's a big lib. To this day, he's a big lib. I don't think he understands the difference between liberals and leftists, but he's a big lib. If there's a D after someone's name, he's voting for him. But if I can take it back to Larry Elder, I got some notes here. I was just thinking about this. This is a successful black man. Now, I didn't realize that Larry Elder is, I believe, 69 years of age. I thought he was 10 years younger. So 69 years of age. I'm 43. That means Larry Elder has probably seen some things when it comes to race relations in America that I have not seen. That means Larry Elder has achieved things despite seeing more hardships when it came to race relations than I can imagine. Yet he succeeded. You see, when Larry Elder steps in front of a camera, when Larry Elder steps behind this microphone, the hope that he gives to Californians, the hope that he'll give to black Californians, to minority Californians, to to freedom-loving patriots in California is, if I can do it, you can do it. Your skin color doesn't matter. Look at me. I'm the governor of the largest state in the union, at least population-wise. If I can do it, how about you? Work hard. Working hard pays off. You see, the Democrat Party can't take that. That's a major threat. See, here's what you have to understand. According to census.gov, 12% of California's population as of 2019 is on welfare. 12% of a state of 40 million people are on welfare. 1/3 of the nation's welfare recipients all live in California. 1/3 of the welfare recipients live in California. You talking about changing the state? You talking about a threat to the Democrat Party? That's exactly what Larry Elder offers. And that's why they are freaking out, and they will do everything possible to stop and deter this campaign.
Streaming on Salem Now.
There's about 57 Muslim states in the world. There's one Jewish state.
The massive ingathering of Jews in the last 150 years back to the land is absolutely unprecedented.
They say that there's no greater sign of redemption coming than the Jewish people returning to the hills of Judea.
As a Christian, I've always supported Israel's claim to the Holy Land. To me, the Palestinians were just getting in the way of God's plan.
300,000 Palestinians are unemployed.
In spite of all the years of conflict, there's hope here if you know where to look for it.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Las Vegas, I mean, it is open for business. It is wide open. It's unreal how different things are in a place like Las Vegas. I mean, somebody look up, Derek, see how many seats the O show at the Bellagio holds. How many seats are in that theater? The show is called O at the Bellagio. See how many seats it holds. It was packed. I mean, there's no social distancing going on in Las Vegas. There just isn't. Now, does that disturb you? Or does that make you happy? Does it bother you to know that there are communities that, like Las Vegas, that have a theater that I sat in and was in amazement at the Las Vegas production of O at the Bellagio with 1,800 seats, and it was packed. It was sold out. There weren't seats between other seats. There weren't empty seats blocked out with stupid X marks. And incidentally, on the topic of Las Vegas, may I respectfully suggest a must-see show if you like Vegas like I do. I don't do a whole lot of gambling. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I love the theaters, the shows. I love the hotels. I love the restaurants. I love the vibe of Las Vegas. The Magic of Jen Kramer at the Westgate is a must-see.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Yesterday, General Milley told a congressional hearing that there is no chance, very unlikely and very little motivation for the People's Republic of China on this, the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, to assault Taiwan in the near term. Quote, there's no reason to do it militarily, and they know that. So I think the probability is probably low in the immediate near-term future. Your reaction, Senator Cotton?
Well, I think that's right. Up through the end of the Beijing Olympics in February, Russia didn't invade Crimea in the 8 months.
Free speech lives.
Welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I am your guest host, coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. Again, that number, 888-971-7243. You can find me on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Twitter, at Carl Jackson Show. Check out my website, carljacksonshow.com. But we were talking about Larry Elder. And listen, I didn't intend to go here, to be honest with you, today in this first hour. But I just started thinking, man, see, the left fears anyone that's a threat, particularly a minority, that's a threat to the Democratic plantation. That's why they're so fearful of minorities that leave the Democratic plantation. They are terrified. That's why they'll add every letter to LGBTQ, ABC, barbecue. They'll keep adding letters, and the reason why is because they want to continue to divide people. They continuously need victims. This is a sick and evil party. Nothing has changed about the Democrat Party. They used to use whips and chains They used to chase us down and hunt us down and lynch us. Now they use academia. Now they use the power of the media. Nothing has changed about the Democrat Party. They just can't get away with the overt atrocities that they used to get away with. Now they try to dumb us down. So Larry Elder is a threat. Anyone that leaves the Democrat Party or any minority is a threat to the Democrat Party, that leaves the Democrat Party, that hates the Democrat Party. They're a threat. They need victim groups. They don't care about you as an individual. Look at them. Transgenders, blacks, gays, you name it. Antifa, Black Lives Matter. It's all about groups. See, but Larry Elder defied the odds, 69 years of age. He's experienced real racism. Not this perceived racism that you find under a rock, that's under your car tire, that exists everywhere in America. He's experienced real racism, I'm sure, to some degree, yet he's excelled. Can you imagine that type of leader in front of the state of California? See, this is the biggest state in the union population-wise. Can you imagine if that were to flip? Can you imagine if that were to flip? Could you imagine if Larry Elder were to make inroads in California? Electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. Guys, don't waste your time if this thing, hopefully he can get this issue resolved. Don't waste your time with other candidates. Listen, I understand. I want California to have, that's my birthplace. Born and raised. There's hope for California. Hope that you guys haven't had in a long time. Think about this. And I'll get to some of your calls, but think about this. The Electoral College. See, the Electoral College is a big deal, right? You guys may remember the show I did, I believe it was on Friday, when I talked about the Latino vote and how President Trump made inroads within the Latino community in every single precinct across America where there was a concentration of Latino voters. At least by 6 to 9 points. And in some places, much larger. Democrats got to hold on to their victims. They've got to hold on to their victims. They got to make sure someone like Larry Elder doesn't offer hope and fresh solutions and new ideas. Because California, remember, 538 total Electoral College votes, 270 to win, which Joe Biden, by happenstance, won while we all fell asleep, all the swing states. It was pretty amazing. We'll get into that a little later. 270 Electoral College votes to win. California has 55. So goes California. So goes the radical Democrat Party, because it is no longer your grandpappy's Democrat Party. Well, to some degree. Again, like I said, they're not lynching people today. 55 Electoral College votes. Now, and a lot of you are out there thinking, Carl, you're crazy. This is California. There's more Democrats than there are Republicans. It just can't happen. I think you're wrong. See, I think you haven't had the right messenger. I don't think you've had people in power that could persuade people. I was listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger the other day talking about global warming and electric vehicles and all this kind of stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, there's a reason he didn't work out. Just do a little research and you find out that electric car batteries do way more damage to the environment than a fossil fuel car combustion engine. It's ridiculous. Yet people still argue this nonsense and they want to feel good about themselves and pat themselves on the back. They don't go to church. They don't necessarily care about God. So people are looking for morality in any way they can find it, including in electric vehicles. 55 Electoral College votes. Democrats are really scared there because there's a shift. There's a shift coming in 2022. We get these election, Arizona, we'll be talking about Arizona, where they found massive irregularities thus far. We'll get into that in the second hour. But I want to finish up on this topic because I want to talk to you about how Democrats, it's not just Larry Elder. They're scared of you, conservatives. They're scared of you, particularly if you're a minority. They are scared. They're terrified of what you represent. Props to Johnny Guns for those stats. Census.gov, 12% of California's population on welfare. 12% of a state of 40 million people on welfare. 1/3 of the nation's welfare recipients live in California. You see what they do? See, I told you before, Democrats are only successful when you're unsuccessful. How much time do we have, William? Okay, I appreciate it. Let's go to the call real quick. Lee in Hawaii, I want to get to your call because you're calling from so far. The number to call in to the show, by the way, 888-971-7243. Lee, you've got the mic.
Yeah,
Lee, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead,
Hello?
Lee.
Yeah, I just want to say you're doing such an awesome job, and when Elders becomes governor, you're going to be the man to hold the baton and continue his show.
Listen, Lee, I really appreciate. Now, you're coming from a state that's worse than California, aren't you? Beautiful, but
yeah.
Oh man.
But here's the funny thing: I was born and raised in South Central LA.
No way. Okay.
I lived the welfare life with my parents.
20 seconds.
And I've always heard from them. I'm Black Mexican, and they told me you will never make it in life. And I never thought I would be such a conservative Republican in my life. I had my troubles when I was a kid, but I went to USC. I started my business right out of college. I own property in Texas, Hawaii, and in Colorado, and I'm doing pretty good.
Great call, Lee. I appreciate the call. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Yesterday, General Milley told a congressional hearing that there is very unlikely and very little motivation for the People's Republic of China on the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party to assault Taiwan in the near term. Quote, there's no reason to do it militarily, and they know that. So I think the probability is probably low in the immediate near-term future. Your reaction, Senator Cotton?
Well, I think that's right. Up through the end of the Beijing Olympics in February. Russia didn't invade Crimea, and 8 months before the Sochi Olympics in 2014, they invaded it 4 days after those Olympics ended.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
When did you wake up and say, hang on, this is not good?
Well, like I said earlier, I've been in for over 15 years. The first 14 years of my career, I was in the Air Force, was in the flying community, and then came into the Space Force. Every unit that I've ever been in, all of my professional interactions with people during the preponderance of my career have been highly professional, not politicized. We focus on a mission that unifies us. We wear the same uniform, and we go out and do our job every day. And when I noticed personally these things really rapidly beginning to change was in the past calendar year, but specifically in the aftermath of George Floyd's death. What you saw in broader society in the form of social justice activism pouring into the streets, the disruption of civil liberties, for example, and the dialogue, if you want to call it that ensued in the aftermath is the very thing that I saw just spill over into active duty military units. Now, I'll be clear that every unit is different, every leader is different, every base is different. But that's when I was really keen on seeing this happen. Now, I've been in academia for the past 2 years. And so what I'm able to share is simply one man's perception of when this is. I left academia in June of last year and came out to my current base and have had these experiences. But it's my sense that the seeds are planted long ago. This is a subversive agenda.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Fiance? No, I can't be your fiance.
You're gonna go. You're gonna be my fiance, and you're gonna be the most amazing, fascinating, most successful man ever. We're only gonna be there for a few hours, eat dinner, and I promise we'll have the best breakup of all time.
My baby, my princess. Oh, yeah.
Beat a little bit. Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
This is the destruction of a fair and independent judiciary, and this is using ultimate power to try to destroy political opponents.
100%, Charlie. And it's not like this is the only example. I mean, listen, if you've been watching.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. This is your guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for Larry Elder. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. And we're currently talking about how Larry Elder and people like Larry Elder pose a threat to the Democratic entitlement or the Democratic elite, particularly in California, being that it is the largest state in the union population-wise, and it's worth 55 electoral college votes. You know, when you think of election night, every 4 years, the presidential election, and automatically, the Democrats have 55. And whatever New York is, you know those are going to go automatically. As Republicans, you don't even worry about them. That wasn't always the case. Imagine if there was a switch. So Democrats will do everything they can. Again, you may recall that a week before the recall election, $600 checks are going out to people making less than $75,000 in California. So Governor Newsom, horrible governor, he can't do anything but buy your votes. But what's $600 when you can elect somebody that can help open up your economy, where you can make that tenfold just by working with new opportunity, and the list goes on. This is incredible. Oh, by the way, I'm seeing this. Props to Daily Wire. Ocasio-Cortez apparently needs more fame. She's investing $1.4 million in merchandise. Much of it is emblazoned with her initials. Isn't it amazing how communists in the United States of America always seem to fall in love with capitalism? What a fraud that chick is. What an evil person. I have no problem saying it. It's not hyperbole. I think she's sick, and I think she's twisted, and I think she seriously needs prayer. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But here's some other things that the left are threatened by when it comes to people like Larry Elder, when it comes to people that are minorities that will either leave the Democratic plantation, or if you're lower income, perhaps you're middle class but struggling, and the Democrat Party is trying to do everything they can to keep this stranglehold on you, to keep you in your place. Because again, as I say, Democrats are successful when you're unsuccessful. So can you imagine all of these people in California? Larry Elder gets elected governor. And then hopefully more people will start waking up when you have a governor that can explain policy, how it impacts people positively or negatively. And then more Californians, more conservatives in California come out of the woodwork. They get inspired to run. They get inspired to fight. That's how it happens. That's how it happens, one race at a time, one district at a time, one precinct at a time. That's how California will turn back, at least purple. And I'm one of these people, call it a fairy tale, but I believe that it can happen. But let's go back to this issue. All of these people on welfare in the state of California, I'm sure some by, out of necessity, others not. But consider Obamacare. Consider Obamacare. It's amazing because I don't hear Republicans talking about this anymore, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Anyone and everyone in the state of California can get, I forget the name of the health care, the free health care or whatever that you guys have in California. Anyone and everyone seemingly can benefit from it. Very easy. By the way, the number to call in, 888-971-7243. Coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. But the problem is, there are some people, not just in California, but in inner cities in general, cities that Democrats run, where Obamacare has not been a blessing. It's been a curse. I remember being a small entrepreneur, honestly starting a landscape business, and I thought I was, doing well. I was getting out of my ruts, able to pay off debt, got some affordable health care. I think I was paying about $180 a month at the time. And then I get this wonderful news that Obamacare was going to hike my price up to over $700 just for myself, an individual. And then I went from being able to afford health care and living the American dream to not being able to afford health care. But this isn't just my problem. Apparently, this is a problem for many black Americans because they've had a harder time getting onto health care since Obamacare has been in place. Another thing that I want to talk about is amnesty, because amnesty is hurting California. It's making it a different country. But for now, let me talk about American financing. Look at your loan. Mortgage rates have actually dropped again, and there are quite a few options available in the twos, which is why you need to look at your loan, look at your rate. If you're paying more than that, see if you can drop it. It just takes 10 minutes to start when you call American Financing. Take advantage of a free, no-obligation mortgage review and let an expert mortgage consultant present custom loans that are advantageous for you. No pressure, no upfront fees either, because rates really are near all-time lows, and chances are you can benefit. You may even be able to postpone 2 mortgage payments. Call 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026, or visit AmericanFinancing.net. American Financing, NMLS 182334, consumeraccess.org.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Two things are happening. One is that parents across the board are starting to speak up and not take this anymore. You've seen in Loudoun, Virginia, on the critical race theory issue just the last couple of weeks, school board meetings where parents have lined up by the hundreds. They are unloading on these school boards. I have seen people activate in ways that I didn't see them in the prosperous years of President Trump. People are mad. This is not the way life goes. And to your point about girls that are competing with all of their might and they're falling short, they're not just giving up on the dream of winning that race. They're losing college scholarship opportunities. 2 years ago in Connecticut, in the high school girls track division, 15 state all-time records were shattered by 2 boys that ran as girls in that division.
But the leaders of the state let this happen, Kevin. Can you imagine adult grown men and women elected to these positions, intelligent professional people, let this happen? Those people should be hung out to dry. Those people should have people go to their homes and say, demand that either you change this or you need to resign.
what is the key between those local officials and the Biden administration? I mean, Biden came into office and said we're gonna not just protect transgenders' ability to compete in women's divisions, we're going to expand it. And he's tried to force down executive orders on the public schools across the country to adopt it. They haven't all gone with it, and some states are fighting it pretty aggressively. Florida and Texas have told him to go pound sand. That's what should be happening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip? Why does a kid die? Drug dealer get off scot-free?
The only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you, or you can be a bearer of the light.
So just think of it as calling for backup.
Officer down, officer.
You're the one God's called to be a shepherd.
Keeper, do you know who I am?
You are the author?
I am.
I don't know you.
Keeper, it's your son.
Hurry it up. Time is short.
All right, welcome back to the program. This is your special guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. I'm sure by now that you've heard California is playing games when it comes to adding Larry Elder's name to the list of the candidates to run against Gavin Newsom in the recall election on September 14th. If he were to be recalled, and the reason that they state, they mentioned several reasons. This lady, Shirley Weber, who's the Secretary of State of California, and apparently the reason they claim is it's due to incomplete, redacted, and or unredacted income tax returns that were filed. And according to Larry Elder's spokesperson, she still expected Ying Ma, she expected him to be on the final list of candidates issued next week. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Ying Ma goes on to say, our campaign submitted every document required by the Secretary of State and Los Angeles County Registrar and the Los Angeles County Registrar. So I think they're playing games with Mr. Elder. I think they're playing hardball. This is what Democrats do. They don't want to give up their power. They don't want to give up their victims. So that's why you see Gavin Newsom sending out $600 checks just a week before the recall election. Anything he can do to give Californians that government cheese, that welfare crack, if you will, to keep them voting Democrat. But you guys have the opportunity of a lifetime. I hope you'll go ahead and take care of it. But here's what you're facing, California. Here's what you have an opportunity to change. This is an article that was written as late back as, I think it was 2017 or 16. Props to Breitbart. But how 7 policies, Democrat policies, are killing America's inner cities. And it's so funny because I was just flipping through it today and I was like, this is everything California is going through to this day. This is everything that people in blue cities, nothing's changed, continue to go through. Democrat policies destroy America. They destroy freedom. We talked about Obamacare. Now you're just a number. You go to jail, you're just a number. Now you're put into this healthcare system where doctors don't have to compete for your business. The government just sends them to you, basically. And listen, I'm not saying that doctors are evil and wanting to just get a buck, but I would say since the inception of Obamacare, I don't believe medicine is what it used to be, because basically it removes caring out of a doctor's heart. We all become numbers. We all become statistics. And I know this isn't true for every doctor, so please don't get me wrong. But this is why healthcare, government-run healthcare is so bad. Just consider Cuba. These people can't get the basic necessities. They can't get basic therapies to help fight COVID. There was an outbreak of scabies, just a easily treatable skin disease. But this is where we're heading towards with Obamacare, and I don't see Republicans talking about this. Free market health care would be so much better. Insurance companies had to compete. If people like myself living in Florida were able to go buy a policy, let's say in Texas, that's what you have to do. And then you have executive amnesty. We're going to be talking about DACA because this judge, what is the name of this judge now? I lose his name all of a sudden. Andrew Hanen, Judge and U.S. District Judge Andrew Hanen, and we'll talk about this in the second hour. I'm so glad that he struck this down. I'm so glad that he struck this down. I know a lot of you may support DACA, deferred action for childhood arrival, but all it's meant to do is create a new Negro vote. All it's meant to do is keep a class of citizens just perpetual or, in this victimhood mentality in perpetuity. That's all it's meant to do. But I want you to consider amnesty. I want you to consider, we talk about compassion. I always hear compassion. And I hear this from the right and the left, to be honest with you. And I'm so sick of it, so I want to talk about it. Where's the compassion for the American worker? Are American workers not dreamers? Now listen, I don't begrudge anyone wanting to live and to stay in America. I totally get it. This is a very hard and difficult situation. It's not easy emotionally. I'm sure the people that are going through it being tossed around like a political ping pong, and that's exactly what Obama intended to do when he first implemented this thing in June 2012, right before an election, a presidential election. He had no love for the Latino people. He just wanted to use the Latino people just like the Democrat Party uses black people. And it's so sad that we had a president that did the exact same thing. But I want to talk about compassion for the American worker. Where's the compassion for that guy? Where's the compassion for the black American, for the Latino American, for the white American? Maybe you're lower income, maybe you're middle class and you're trying to move up, and now all of a sudden you got to compete for jobs. You got to compete for wages from people that broke the law. I can remember one time I was visiting a nursery. This was back, they were talking, George W. Bush was in office, and at that time, I think they were talking about some amnesty plan. It may have been 2005, 05, 06, 07, somewhere in that time frame. And I can recall a local nursery here in town where once they started talking about, they were talking about amnesty, but at the same time, they were talking about securing the border. And when I say they, I'm talking about the politicians in Washington, D.C., and they were talking about securing the border. By the way, the number to call in, 888-971-7243. They were talking about securing the border. They were, but allowing whatever amount of illegal aliens that had crossed the border to basically just full-fledged amnesty. But and then they started talking about businesses. I don't know who. At some point in time, some of the politicians started talking about how businesses, there had to be some type of accountability. We needed to find out what businesses were hiring, illegal aliens. We had to check that out. We had to find that out. And I can recall this nursery that I would go to, that I would frequent. One week, when the pressure got really bad, when Washington started talking about illegal immigration and enforcing some illegal immigration standards, they went from having an all Latino crew, I believe Mexican, to an all black crew. And then when it was all over and said and done, they went right back to the Mexican crew. I want to talk about that. Illegal aliens stealing jobs. We'll be back in a few. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
I want to talk about what's happening in New York with Letitia James. and what I consider to be a political persecution unlike anything, I think, in American political history. How are you guys dealing with this? And do you guys see this as, you obviously said this last night, but as a continuation of almost this 5-year political witch hunt?
100%. I mean, it's pretty clear when the Attorney General of a state, without any information, literally campaigns on saying, "Hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to lock them up, we're going to do this, that, and the other." It's pretty amazing that they can get away with it, and then they do it, and then they do it for 5 years. And the reality is this: there's no recourse. There's no one keeping them in check, Charlie. They can just do this. You have nowhere to appeal it to. You're going to appeal it to a leftist judge in New York who feels the same way. They're utilizing their taxpayer-funded offices in a political vendetta to try to damage my father. And the reality is this: even after 5 years, in search of a crime, right? They've been looking for 5 years. They're getting closer, Charlie. We've been hearing this now literally for half a decade, and yet there's still nothing there, and yet no one's stopping them. So as crime rates go through the roof in New York, as murder rates go through the roof, as businesses are going out of business because of New York's disastrous recovery response, they're spending taxpayer dollars on a political witch hunt against Donald Trump rather than, I don't know, murderers. This is what's going on in America. They're outraged when this stuff happens in, I guess, Belarus recently, right?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're longing for a place that feels like pre-pandemic America, I'll tell you right now, Las Vegas is one of them. What's your community? Well, tell me what your town is like and how you would respond to being in a theater with 1,800 other people, elbow to elbow. Here's Mike. What's the upstate of South Carolina, Mike, life like, Mike?
Mike, it is wide open for business, baby. We are rocking and rolling, and we cannot get enough people to work. So come on down here and grab yourself a job.
I love it. That makes me happy. Coming back to work makes me happy. Thank you, Mike.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Deniss Prager Show.
There are a lot of people who would sign on to this. Needless to say, it starts next.
Hey, welcome back to the program. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. Again, that number, 888-971-7243. Actually, I want to go right to the lines because there is an interesting call from Alan in Pennsylvania that I'd like to take, Philadelphia. Alan, how are you? You got the mic.
I'm great. Thank you, Carl. And great job out there filling in for the stage. I love you. You're doing great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, I just wanted to get your take, on, I started listening to Larry when I lived in California. I lived there for 10 years, and he is fabulous. And I would not be any happier, to be the happiest thing in the world to see Larry Elder win the California election. It'd be the best thing for California, I think, probably in its history. My question and my experience has been, even with some friends in politics in California, the California elections all over, local elections, state elections, whatever, are bought and paid for by the Democrats. The cheating and the corruption is just, I don't know. Gavin Newsom is a perfect example of that. He's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. I mean, come on, it's almost like a kingdom out there. So my plan, my question to you is, you may not know what is his plan, but what should be his plan to counter that. And we've seen that same cheating and everything else, that took place in the national elections here. So if we couldn't even do it in a national election, how are we going to do it in even a tiny state like California? What should be his plan to deal with that?
Alan, it's a fair question. I appreciate the call. Listen, there's no doubt that California is an uphill battle, period. But this is a special recall election. Yes, and Democrats are going to cheat and they're going to play hardball and they're going to use the money that Floridians like myself and other Americans across the country gave them so Gavin Newsom can pretend like he's done such a great job. California has this amazing surplus when all it is Democrats just, taking our money, Biden taking our money and redistributing it to California. But this is a special election. So first, it's a two-part ballot from what I understand. So the first thing is first, you got to recall Gavin Newsom. And then after that, it's the next person in line who gets the most votes wins. And you had people that started this recall effort who thought that would have been possible at this point in time in American history in California. And they've done so successfully. So this is an opportunity that the state of California has to be able to recall Gavin Newsom. Again, it's a two-part process. Recall Gavin Newsom, and then the second part is who do you want to replace him? And that person is Larry Elder. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Californians, or at least, so you just got to make it work. This is Carl Jackson, and for Larry Elder, we'll be back in a few.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Surprise.
Sharon and I.
Sharon and you what?
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hanning, it is good to have you home.
Nona, it's Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Really though, thanks for thinking of me for this position.
I thought about you first. Come on, growing up, I had a huge crush on you.
There are things that we all need to change about ourselves, but we can't blame God because He helps us change.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Two things are happening. One is that parents across the board are starting to speak up and not take this anymore. You've seen in Loudoun, Virginia, on the critical race theory issue just the last couple of weeks, school board meetings where parents have lined up by the hundreds. They are unloading on these school boards. I've seen people activate in ways that I didn't see them in the prosperous years of President Trump. People are mad. This is not the way life goes. And to your point about girls that are competing with all of their might and they're falling short, they're not just giving up on the dream of winning that race. They're losing college scholarship opportunities. 2 years ago in Connecticut, in the high school girls track division, 15 state all-time records were shattered by two boys that ran as girls in that division.
But the leaders of the state let this happen, Kevin. Can you imagine adult grown men and women elected to these positions, intelligent professional people, let this happen? Those people should be hung out to dry. Those people should have people go to their homes and say, demand that either you change this or you need to resign.
What is the key between those local officials and the Biden administration? I mean, Biden came into office and said, we're gonna not just protect transgenders' ability to compete in women's divisions, we're gonna expand it. And he's tried to force down executive orders on the public schools across the country to adopt it. They haven't all gone with it, and some states are fighting it pretty aggressively. Florida and Texas have told him to go pound sand. That's what should be happening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip. Why does a kid die? Drug dealer get off scot-free.
Well, the only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you, or you can be a bearer of the light.
So just think of it as calling for backup.
Officer down, officer down.
You're the one God's called to be a shepherd.
Keeper, do you know who I am?
You are the author?
I am.
I don't know you.
Keeper, it's your son.
Hurry it up. Time is short.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
What is your message to those who think this isn't a big deal or who feel cowed and intimidated? What do you say to them?
Anytime you say something like what I'm about to say, I'm sure it can be abused and misused, so I'll be very careful in how I say it. I've never read Hitler's Mein Kampf, but I've picked it up recently in the past week because I'm interested in learning everything I can about history. After spending just a day with his Mein Kampf, the spirit and essence of his race hatred that shows up in that book, a set of 2 books, is very similar to what I'm seeing show up in How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
I want to talk about what's happening in New York with Letitia James and what I consider to be a political persecution unlike anything, I think, in American political history. How are you guys dealing with this? And do you guys see this as, you obviously said this last night, but as a continuation of almost this 5-year political witch hunt?
100%. I mean, it's pretty clear when the Attorney General of a state, without any information, literally campaigns on saying, "Hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to lock them up, we're going to do this, that, and the other." It's pretty amazing that they can get away with it. And then they do it. And then they do it for 5 years. And the reality is this: there's no recourse. There's no one keeping them in check, Charlie. They can just do this. You have nowhere to appeal it to. You're going to appeal it to a leftist judge in New York who feels the same way. They're utilizing their taxpayer-funded offices in a political vendetta to try to damage my father. And the reality is this: even after 5 years, in search of a crime, right? They've been looking for 5 years. They're getting closer, Charlie. We've been hearing this now literally for half a decade, and yet there's still nothing there, and yet no one's stopping them. So as crime rates go through the roof in New York, as murder rates go through the roof, as businesses are going out of business because of New York's disastrous recovery response, they're spending taxpayer dollars on a political witch hunt against Donald Trump rather than, I don't know, murderers. This is what's going on in America. They're outraged when this stuff happens in, I guess, Belarus recently, right?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
morning put out by a reporter. She found that 2 of the Republican candidates, 2 of the more prominent ones, did not turn in their 2020 tax returns. Now, that's not necessarily a violation of anything because of COVID. Everybody had an extension. But somehow, some way, Larry Elder was able to get his 2020 tax returns filed among the 5 that were required. Can you imagine what they would have done to me if I had not turned in 2020 tax returns? It clearly looks like a target for me because I'm the only one that I believe they're afraid of. My name recognition is higher than anybody else's other than Caitlyn Jenner's. I've been on every major market in Sacramento, as you have, Dennis, for the last several years. I've been talking about these issues for a long time. This guy is scared to death, and that's what I think happened. So we're going to be in court later on today if this thing is not reversed.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. That was the great Eldersky speaking with Deniss Prager, and he's absolutely right. Gavin Newsom is scared, but not only Gavin Newsom, the Democrat Party is scared. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I believe, or at least once-in-a-generation opportunity for California to start turning the other way. Yeah, you've got your pockets of leftists. I know there's more Democrats there than not, but you have to remember we're going through lockdowns where you have this King Newsom exert his power over the peasants of California, along with these dictators in cities across the state, destroying businesses. I mean, God knows how many people may lose their homes, vehicles. Who knows? So this is an opportunity. I think ads have to be run. I think people have to be reminded of who Gavin Newsom really is. And again, as I say, Democrats are only successful when you're unsuccessful. So his goal is to get reelected, offer you a little more of that government crack, that government cheese, those welfare checks. Just keep those rolling. That's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do. But you get a person like Larry Elder that wants to change the state, see you succeed, open the doors of more opportunity for all Americans in California. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. It really is. So I hope you Californians step up to the plate. I hope and pray that Larry Elder will be able to resolve this issue. And again, I mean, this is a great opportunity. Here's some more things before I go to your calls. Here's some more things, reasons why Democrats are scared. Consider how that state could change, the impact that it will make. Again, I told you about the 55 electoral college votes, but I want you to consider amnesty. DACA is in real trouble, and we're going to get into DACA. And one of the reasons why DACA is in trouble is because we have an open border crisis that the media and the left continue to ignore. But you know who's not ignoring it? People like you and I that are going to be impacted. People like you and I who will see our children go to school and their education, particularly you in California, you guys on the West, your educational quality will get worse and worse and worse because now you have teachers in a classroom. You're going to have a bunch of illegal immigrants that have come in. Children, listen, and I understand I'm not mad at the kids, you know, but this is just a fact. And these children are going to have to learn English and try to keep up with your kid. And then on top of that, you have a bunch of social justice warriors in the classroom. I mean, we're not going to be putting out top-notch students. I don't believe, particularly in states like California, particularly in blue states like California, that'll just turn a blind eye to illegal immigration and then teach this critical race theory, racism stuff, this anti-racism. I'm an anti-racist. That stuff is so stupid. I can't believe that people fall for it, but it just shows you the depravity of people's heart when they don't buy into Judeo-Christian values. They don't read the Bible. They don't have any source of morality except for themselves. It's pretty disgusting. They'll buy into racist things like critical race theory and claim that it's good. It's amazing. All right, we got John on the line. John in Washington, D.C. John, you've got the mic.
Hey, Carl, bro, man, nice to have you, okay? And you're really big with Larry, so, man, we appreciate you. We love you out here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, check it out. I think what's going to happen here is that what we need to do, all right, is get a forensic audit in California going. And I think once we get that going for decades, why are they always blue? Ask yourselves that. Why is it all these inner cities out there, okay, always blue, and look at them. They are freaking demolished with all these type of freaking, violence, right? All the mess that's happening. So once we get the forensic audit, once and for all, you'll see the rats scramble. And now you're going to magnify really what's been happening for decades. You just connect the dots, bro.
Yeah, John, good call. I appreciate the call. Not only that, but California has this silly jungle primary where basically the two top vote getters, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, William, but the two top vote getters gets a run for any particular seat. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So it could be 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. So basically you get this wacky jungle primary season, where people don't hear fresh ideas. They don't hear new ideas. A bunch of Democrats voting, so there's no one to debate them, so on, et cetera. There's no doubt that the voter rolls need to be cleaned up. That's honestly, I don't suspect that will happen unless you can get someone like Larry Elder into office. But I just want you to think about the damage that the left is doing. California, again, you have an opportunity of a lifetime. I go back to, I was talking about amnesty. Just think about your classrooms and let's face it, we are watching the literal dumbing down of America. How much worse is it going to be under Gavin Newsom if he's allowed to continue in office? Open borders. The left is silent, filling your state, filling it. Honestly, they're setting illegal immigrants or shipping illegal immigrants to all types of cities. It used to be that one of the primary factors of illegal immigration was just people overstaying their visa. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm not sure if that's the case when you have an influx of 190,000 illegal immigrants in 1 month alone in the month of June. 1 month alone. We are breaking record after record after record. So you DACA recipients, it would be fitting for you to call your Democrat congressmen and women and say, what are you doing? You're screwing things up for me. See, I believe in compassion, but I have compassion for American citizens. I have compassion. I know these kids are in a difficult situation. I get it. But I'm tired of ignoring compassion for American citizens. I'm tired of ignoring that mom, that dad that wakes up early in the morning to work their butt off to put food on their kid's table, to maybe, I don't know, buy some clothing for soccer clothing or basketball or football, to be able to afford that, just to have an average, normal, everyday life. And then you have a government, you have a president, you have a Congress, you have a Senate ran by Democrats who don't give a flip about your family, who don't give a flip about the borders. And you have an influx of illegal immigrations that are steadily driving down wages. Meanwhile, you have Democrats pushing this minimum wage, $15 minimum wage nonsense that a lot of small businesses can't afford, that aren't major corporations. And so people just stop hiring. It's like a two-pronged whammy. The Democrats are destroying America. They're going to destroy California. Well, they've already destroyed California, but you have an opportunity to flip the script. When we get back, I want to talk about DACA, and I want to talk about the 74,000 mail-in ballots counted in Arizona that weren't mailed. Anyway, this is Carl Jackson and for the great Eldersky coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. We'll be back in a few.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Joe Biden was sold as a moderate. People that had worked with Joe Biden back in the day said, "Oh, I've known Joe for years. He's okay. He's fine."
Listen, when he got the hair plugs, he flipped. A long time ago, he was bald as an egg, and he got hair plugs. And I believe those hair plugs were from a Chinese lab in the Wuhan province, and things started to go screwy, and he flipped.
So he said, I don't know that that's true. I think he hid maybe who he was for a long time. A lot of liberals did in the 70s and 80s.
Wait. First of all, he's nobody. He has no values. Let's not kid ourselves. He's not a Marxist. He is a husk of a person, and he will just do. That's the whole point of your article at townhall.com. People are running him and steering him, and he doesn't have the whisper of what we would call courage or conviction.
Right. Well, and because he can't get the stuff kicked out fast enough. I mean, they've attacked so many different areas of culture and life all at once, and I think this is part of the blowback that is causing parental communities to rise up. You know, one of the things I'm most excited about, to be candid, out of all this, is to see the growth of middle-class black parents debating CRT to their own school boards. There's something very powerful about a father and a mother, married black couple, living in a suburb and being part of a community and saying to a school board, what you're in essence trying to do is teach my child to be a racist.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hanning! It is good to have you home!
Nona, it's Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Deniss Prager Show.
This is unbelievably important, the Ultimate Issues Hour. Now you realize, many of you realized earlier, but now you realize even better how important it is to have a clear outlook on life. Otherwise, you're susceptible to nonsense, which is what is now taught from kindergarten to university. So we talk about the great issues. I have one today. Every one of you, no, that's not exactly correct. The vast majority of you are aware of all the studies that I respect anyway, all the studies, even the ones I don't respect, note the benefits of a religious life. People are happier, they live longer, they have more people in their lives. By every criterion, it is a better way to live. So, what stops you? Not what stops you from believing in God. It's not the issue. I have raised that issue. That's not the issue. The issue is what stops you from leading a religious life. You can lead a religious life while you struggle with God, the question.
Welcome back to the Larry Elder program. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. Again, that number, 888-971-7243. You can check me out on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio. Also Twitter at Carl Jackson Show. And you can go to my website, carljacksonshow.com. Props to Sean. Sean just sent me a picture. You know, this is another element of compassion. You know, we got to think about compassion on both sides of the border. So I talked to you about compassion when it comes to illegal immigration. Where's the compassion for the American worker that's getting squashed? Where's the compassion for that person? Manufacturing industry just down in America. Where's the compassion for that person? For that family unit? Where's that compassion? It's always amazing to me how Democrats all have compassion for their victim classes, but they don't have compassion for patriotic Americans. No, patriotic Americans are evil people. That man and woman, you're working hard just to freaking pay your bills. And Democrats because they just want to retain power. They don't care about you. You're just a number. They don't care about individuals. They don't care about individual liberty. They care about power. So who cares if we get 1 million illegal immigrants crossing our border in a span of 7 months, breaking records throughout the entire year? Who cares? Who cares if they destroy your jobs? Who cares if they destroy your schools? Who cares if they're not assimilated into the American culture and the American experience? Because Democrats hate the American culture anyway, unless you're AOC and you want to make money as a communist acting like a capitalist. Other than that, screw America. That's what the left believes. That's what they say. But and then you think of the other side. Again, props Sean. And Sean sent me a picture of this. Basically, this Texas state troopers pulled over a semi with 105 illegal aliens in the back of it, packed like sardines. No mask, no nothing. It doesn't matter. So where's the compassion for them, Democrats? The trek that the illegal immigrants have to make to come to America. When you have open border policies, when people don't follow the rule of law, when people don't follow the process or obey the process, if you will, look at all of these lives that you're endangering. There's no telling what smugglers will do to these people if they don't pay their bills, what they'll do to family members. There's no telling how many people died before they were even able to get inside of that truck. There's no telling what type of physical or health condition these illegal immigrants are in, packed in that tractor trailer like sardines. No compassion there. No compassion for the little girls and little boys that may be raped or die in the desert on their trek here because we have a feckless president in the White House. Even worse, VP, if you can believe it. No compassion there. So Democrats don't have compassion for the American worker, given their amnesty policies. Democrats don't have compassion for the people that risk their lives to come here. Democrats just want power. They just want power. Nothing more, nothing less. Power. We all know what's going on in Cuba. The left is trying to stay silent. Psaki isn't even trying to mention it today. You can't have Republicans coming here. You can't have freedom lovers coming here. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. So we'll ignore the atrocities occurring under the dictatorial regime in Cuba. And again, I live right here in Orlando, Florida. We have this Val Demings running against Marco Rubio. Crickets. I've heard nothing. I've heard nothing from her. Black woman cares about the cares about the poor. Cares about the downtrodden. Haven't heard a peep from her. Absolutely amazing. You know, as crazy as this year has been, after the Democrats have installed Joe Biden into the White House, I'm glad the left is showing us who they are. As hard as this is, as difficult as it is, this gives Americans an opportunity to step up to the plate. We have clarity. The left wants to destroy this country. Those of us that are on the right, or those of us in between, I hope there's some liberals out there listening, want to save this country and appreciate this country and appreciate what it is, what the founders created, and how much you've been blessed just by living here. This is an amazing country. Say it to the day that I die. This is an amazing country. Well, at least I hope I will. Hopefully these leftists won't turn it into a socialist country, but I got to say, we're in dangerous times. We're in dangerous times. Things are getting close. Things are getting close. I think of California and gun control. You guys, let me see if I can find this real quick. I'm thinking of this Chief Justice, the gun control restrictions that are in California. I watched this video and I posted up on my Facebook page. And I'm not doing it to exploit this young man's death, but I really, if you can stomach it, and I'll be honest with you, typically I can't. But there was a rapper, I believe his name was Indian Red Boy, that was murdered live on Instagram live video. And I know this happens in Democratic cities all across the nation, where murder rates are rising. It's happening in some red cities, but the numbers aren't nearly as high. But people are on edge as a result of the lockdowns, and crime-ridden cities are getting even worse. And this young man is sitting in his car, just laughing and giggling and doing an Instagram video, and within seconds, someone just walks up and just shoots him to death. And I think about gun control. The left always talks about gun control, but as a reformed criminal with my formerly fingerprinted fingertips, I can tell you that criminals always have guns. Criminals always get their hands on guns. Hence, that's why they're criminals. So how do you deter bad people from doing bad stuff with guns? You have law-abiding citizens, good people with bigger guns to stop them or to deter them or to scare them off. California, are you ready for change? Chief Justice Roger Taney, what did he say when it came to, he said when it came to blacks, Roger Taney, who presided over Dred versus Scott, said, it would give them the full liberty to keep and carry arms wherever they went, talking about slaves. Democrats still want to keep us down, even with gun control. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Trending now on the Deniss Prager Show.
This is unbelievably important, the Ultimate Issues Hour. Now you realize, many of you realized earlier, but now you realize even better how important it is to have a clear outlook on life. Otherwise, you're susceptible to nonsense, which is what is now taught from kindergarten to university. So we talk about the great issues. I have one today. Every one of you, no, that's not exactly correct. The vast majority of you are aware of all the studies that I respect anyway. Anyway, all the studies, even the ones I don't respect, note the benefits of a religious life. People are happier, they live longer, they have more people in their lives. By every criterion, it is a better way to live. So, what stops you? Not what stops you from believing in God. It's not the issue. I have raised that issue. That's not the issue. The issue is what stops you from leading a religious life. You can lead a religious life while you struggle with God, the question of God's existence. They're not the same thing. Here's a related issue. People who say, "Oh, I'm not going to raise my kids with any religion. I'll let them choose when they get older." Why don't you say that about anything else? I'm not going to give my kid music lessons. If they're interested in an instrument, they'll take one later.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Men and women died in Vietnam or the other wars that we fought for our flag.
Hey, what a great call. What a great point that is. To disrespect those men who spilled blood, who left their limbs on the battlefield the way the left is doing. Chris, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. How you doing, Chris?
Good, Mike. It's a nice honor to talk to you finally.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Honored to speak to you as well.
Mike, I'll make this real quick. I'm probably not all that great at talking on air, but all I am is a lifeguard on the ocean front in southeast North Carolina.
Right.
And I just want to say that, this weekend we had outstanding weather. The crowds were fantastic. Everyone was just well behaved.
Wow.
Mike, I was on my tower and I was looking north, and I saw the thousands and thousands of people with their umbrellas, thousands of people in the water just enjoying. The kids were playing. The kids were running around, and happy cries and screams were going on. Mike, in my binoculars, you got to picture this. You got the city line and the beach and the ocean. But in my binoculars, I saw all of this going on, and then in the center was the American flag waving, and it just brought me to tears sitting in my tower watching this, and just thinking about all the people who disrespect our flag, and like your last caller, all the men who died for this country. It just brought me to tears sitting on the tower watching all this going on.
And you know what? You got to keep reminding yourself, millions and
Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder program. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. I want to go through this DACA thing, and I hope to get to my goal is to get to the Arizona audit and the hat tip to AM Greatness for that, where they found massive irregularities, including more than 74,000 mail-in ballots counted than mailed out. And then you got Brad Raffensperger. Guys, those of you in Georgia, I had a caller on the line earlier. Unfortunately, he didn't stay on. But Brad Raffensperger needs to go bye-bye. He is a Republican, but he explains why he's just now discovering more than 10,000 illegal votes. It seems to me that when you are a Republican and you see all types of shenanigans going on in an election, you just want fair elections. You want your people to be able to show up. If Republicans lose fair and square, so be it. If Democrats win fair and square, so be it. May not like the result, but so be it. But what you want is free and fair elections. And when you have a Secretary of the State like Brad Raffensperger that's all of a sudden finding these 10,000 illegal votes that were cast in Georgia, you know what? You disincentivize people to go out and vote. People don't trust the process, and we need to gain that trust back. And if for nothing else, that's why we have to have these audits, and I feel like we need to have these audits across the state. I mean, across the United States. Just needs to happen. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that in the next hour. So here's something for you. So this, according to Breitbart, a blaring siren for Democrats after the ruling halts when it came to DACA. All right, so advocates are calling on Congress and President Biden to act quickly on legislation that will provide a path to citizenship to hundreds of thousands of young immigrants after a federal judge in Texas ordered the end to an Obama-era program that protects them from deportation. Here's what's happening. Let me pause real quick. I want you to understand how evil the Democrat Party is, particularly how evil it's become. Remember when former President Obama said he wanted to fundamentally transform America? Guys, we're almost there. We're almost there. See, Obama wanted to use Latinos as a political ping pong. Just like blacks. Latinos, for those of you that are listening and you've been told that the Republican Party is evil, the Republican Party hates minorities, the Republican Party hates, I don't know, purple, blue, whatever people. The Republican Party hates everybody. The Republican Party are racist, they're xenophobes, so on, etc. No, it's just we're not consumed by what a person looks like. We're consumed with freedom. You know, it's funny when I've, all black conservatives go through this, I really don't care as much as others, but you're going to get called all types of names being a black conservative. And, obviously Uncle Tom is a famous one. By the way, watch Larry Elder's documentary. That was so good. Called Uncle Tom. But one of the things that the left will like to call us black conservatives house Negroes, and not using those words exactly. And it's the total opposite. When it comes to minorities that leave the Democratic plantation, it's more like runaway slaves. We just become consumed with freedom. When you start learning things about American history, the good and the bad, but things that'll set you free spiritually, financially, constitutionally, you just become consumed with freedom. The Democrat Party isn't consumed with freedom. The Democrat Party is consumed with slavery in one way, and I'm not being hyperbolic. They really are. They're obsessed with keeping people enslaved. Obama didn't have to unilaterally implement DACA. He did it in an election year. Just like black people like George Floyd become a hero in election year, Obama did this in an election year. Why would he do it in an election year? Just a few months before an election. June 2012, 5 months or so before an election. Why would he do that, Latinos? It's because he wants to make you the new Negro vote. The Democrat Party wants you to be enslaved to them. The Democrat Party wants you to be totally dependent upon them. So they will use you like a political ping pong. American financing. Look at your loan. Mortgage rates have actually dropped again, and there are quite a few options available in the twos, which is why you need to look at your loan, look at your rate. If you're paying more than that, see if you can drop it. It just takes 10 minutes to start when you can call American Financing. Take advantage of a free, no obligation mortgage review and let an expert mortgage consultant present custom loans that are advantageous for you. No pressure, no upfront fees either, because rates really are near all-time lows, and chances are you can benefit. You may even be able to postpone 2 mortgage payments. Call 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026, or visit AmericanFinancing.net. American Financing, NMLS 182334, NMLS, ConsumerAccess.org. Did I make it?
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
What is your message to those who think this isn't a big deal, or who feel cowed and intimidated? What do you say to them?
Anytime you say something like what I'm about to say, I'm sure it can be abused and misused, so I'll be very careful in how I say it. I've never read Hitler's Mein Kampf, but I've picked it up recently in the past week because I'm interested in learning everything I can about history. After spending just a day with his Mein Kampf, the spirit and essence of his race hatred that shows up in that book, a set of 2 books, is very similar to what I'm seeing show up in How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
I want to talk about what's happening in New York with Letitia James and what I consider to be a political persecution unlike anything, I think, in American political history. How are you guys dealing with this? And do you guys see this as, you obviously said this last night, but as a continuation of almost this 5-year political witch hunt?
100%. I mean, it's pretty clear when the Attorney General of a state, without any information, literally campaigns on saying, "Hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to lock them up, we're going to do this, that, and the other." It's pretty amazing that they can get away with it, and then they do it, and then they do it for 5 years. And the reality is this: there's no recourse. There's no one keeping them in check, Charlie. They can just do this. You have nowhere to appeal it to. You're going to appeal it to a leftist judge in New York who feels the same way. They're utilizing their taxpayer-funded offices in a political vendetta to try to damage my father. And the reality is this: even after 5 years, in search of a crime, right? They've been looking for 5 years. They're getting closer, Charlie. We've been hearing this now literally for half a decade, and yet there's still nothing there. And yet no one's stopping them. So as crime rates go through the roof in New York, as murder rates go through the roof, as businesses are going out of business because of New York's disastrous recovery response, they're spending taxpayer dollars on a political witch hunt against Donald Trump rather than, murderers. This is what's going on in America. They're outraged when this stuff happens in, Belarus recently, right?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're longing for a place
It's a good one. Listen, I don't wish ill on people, but I got to say, isn't it poetic justice that 5 of those Democrats that left their duty, that, just abandoned their duty to vote for election integrity in Texas, at least 5 of them have contracted COVID. I mean, talk about poetic justice. And I don't wish ill will, and I want them all to get well. I don't. But man, is that fitting or what? It's just absolutely crazy to me. It's just so fitting. It's poetic justice. Hate to say it. So immigrants and advocates are urging Democrats and President Biden to quickly, according to Breitbart, quickly act on legislation to protect young immigrants after a federal judge in Texas on Friday ruled an Obama-era program that prevents the deportation of thousands brought into the U.S. illegally. So this was U.S. District Judge Andrew Hanen. And he's now barred any new applicants for applying from DACA, but he has left the program intact for existing recipients. So just like Larry Elder, this is something that I think would make Democrats a little more nervous, because now they're bringing in they're importing all of these illegal Democrats. That's basically what they're hoping. All right. Let's just be honest. Democrats are hoping to import illegal Democrats from across the border to eventually put them on welfare, keep them dependent, keep their vote by saying evil Republicans will take away your government crack. That's what they want to do. So now Democrats are in a quandary. What do we do? What do we do with these 190,000 or the nearly million in the 7 months that Biden has been in, or nearing 7 months that he's been in, but 190,000 in the month of June alone? What do we do with these people? This is going to be tough for Democrats. There's no appetite for this. I don't believe there's an appetite for DACA. Honestly, I don't even believe that Democrats want to solve the DACA problem. As I said earlier, I think President Obama in 2012 wanted it as a political ping pong. Now, eventually, at least in the short term, I don't think they want to solve it. Maybe eventually, if they're convinced that Latinos will be overwhelmingly Democrat, then yeah, they'll do all they can to pass it. I get that. I understand that. But right now, leading up to 2022, what does the Democratic Party have? Everyone's racist. If everyone's racist, no one's racist. So they've got the racist people behind the CRT movement, the critical race theory movement. They got January 6th comparing it to the worst atrocity on the Capitol or worst attack on the Capitol of all time. And we know that's not true. I talked to you last week about the Weather Underground and the Puerto Rican group that did much more damage and violence and perpetrated violence within the Capitol building. So it's just a straight up lie. And that's in more modern recent history. So it's just a straight up lie. So you have Democrats that have tried to enslave Latinos, and this judge puts a halt in it. There's a liberal Latino group called United We Dream, and the executive director, this is good news. The executive director, Grisa Martinez Rosa, said, listen, this is on Democrats. They know it. The question is, how are they going to respond? Democrats can't blame Republicans for DACA. This lady, it sounds like Democrats, listen, the Biden-Harris administration is a total and complete disaster. It is a total and complete disaster. And DACA recipients, you should be calling the White House. You should call your Senate. You should call your congressman and tell them to seal the border, because I think your chances are drastically reduced with open borders of becoming a permanent citizen. And again, I prefer compassion for people that got in line, that did things the right way first. I prefer compassion for the American worker. I prefer compassion first, or I prioritize compassion for those that are going through these treacherous journeys, risking their lives where it just shouldn't happen. Just shouldn't happen. Anyway, let's go to the lines. Who do we have here? Al in Dallas, Texas. Al, you've got the mic.
How you doing? Thanks. Hey, you're doing a good job for Larry there. Listen to Larry all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, I don't think anything's going to happen. I hate to say that, but, being a son of Cuban immigrants that came to this country in the early 60s, we're in trouble. This country is not going to turn around. I don't think anything's going to happen because I think they're going to cheat. They're going to commit fraud with everything, all the points that you've been making, okay, from immigration to the courts to the voting laws and everything that's being basically, run over by the Democrats. It's not going to change. You know what's going to change? What's going to change is when you remove them by force. And I hate to say that because that's a scary thought, right, that we would end up in a civil war in this country. But that's where this is going. This is not going to go any other way. I'm telling you right now. The problem is that...
Al, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, quickly. I want to respond to you.
The problem is that the conservative movement or the conservative party and the middle class, they're too busy trying to raise their kids, educate their kids, make money, save money. And it's not going to happen until one day we wake up and everything's going to be so screwed up that we're not going to have no choice but to remove these people from power by force, because the courts are not going to help us. Immigration laws are not going to help us. Voting rights are not going to help us. They're going to do it again in 2024. And even if Trump, comes out, it's going to happen again. And then we're doomed. And they're going to hold on to power forever because these people don't let go of power.
Al, I appreciate the call. And I understand your despair, but listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to show up and I want you to vote. I do believe that Democrats are in trouble. And listen, here's what we got to understand. These swing states that Democrats just did all types of stuff, and they used COVID-19 to change election law in their states, willy-nilly and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is going to change. I'll address this more in just a second here. Pure Talk USA. Take a look at your cell phone bill. If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, you're paying too much. I want you to switch to Pure Talk. Pure Talk can save your family over $800 a year. Yes, same great coverage because Pure Talk is on the exact same network as one of the big three, but a fraction of the price. And switching is as easy as switching out your SIM card. You can keep your phone, keep your number, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. I got the iPhone SE and I love it. Plus right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. And if you go over on data, they don't charge you for it. There's a reason Pure Talk is the highest rated wireless company by Consumer Affairs, why they're preferred wireless partner of AMAC. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Larry Elder and save an additional 50% off your first month.
Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Donald Rumsfeld is famous for many things. Before Donald Trump, there was Newt Gingrich in the 2012 campaign, demonstrating hostility to the media and confrontation with the media. But before there was Newt Gingrich, there was Donald Rumsfeld, demonstrating command of the media. Most famous for his combination of command and concise knowledge is this cut, which is his most famous response to a question.
There are reports that there is no evidence of a direct link between Baghdad and some of these terrorist organizations.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Excuse me, but is this an unknown unknown?
I'm not.
Several unknowns, and I'm just
I'm
wondering.
not going to say which it is.
Mr. Secretary,
I'm right here. I'm right here.
See, Rumsfeld knew exactly what he was doing. It makes perfect sense, and that's why his memoir is known as Known Unknowns. But for the full tutorial on how to deal with the media, here is a press situation with Donald Rumsfeld on April the 11th, 2003. Listen to how he deals with a hostile press.
I picked up a newspaper today, and I couldn't believe it. I read 8 headlines that talked about chaos, violence, unrest, and it just was henny penny the sky.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I am your special guest host coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. And again, that number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. And again, just for Pure Talk, that's pound 250 and say Larry Elder, pound 250 and say Larry Elder. Okay, so we've been talking about DACA. Some of you are talking about the election integrity issues. Listen, guys, we can't give up. I mean, this is the great, if we fall, where else will people go? Where else will people go? I mean, for me, this is a simple equation. If America is gone, freedom is gone. Besides spiritual freedom, you can die and go to heaven. Praise God for that. But I'm talking about life here on earth. If America falls, where else do you go? Other people, Cubans, they don't have an opportunity like this. Well, they're rising up. Iranians are rising up, praise God. Where else will you go? Fight. Get involved. I'm hopeful. I understand the last caller's concern, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because we're awake. Many more of us are awake. I'm having conversations. I'm talking to people that didn't realize how bad things were. We're awake. You see these parents flooding these school board meetings. Some of my buddies right here locally, Matt Buff right here locally in Seminole County or in Orlando area. attending school board meetings, making sure critical race theory doesn't take hold. You see more parents, you see more people aware, you see more conservatives, you see more freedom lovers aware of what's happening to their country. Democrats decided to go for the gusto. You know, what Obama was trying to do is get us to eat an apple at a time. Or a bite at a time, I'm sorry. But now you see Democrats going for the absolute gusto. And it's hurting them. I see the callers on the line. I want to make sure you guys stay on because you've got some interesting points that I want to be able to address. But this is an opportunity for freedom lovers to fight for the country they love. We just have to keep our state legislatures accountable. We have to get involved in the primary process. We got to pick good, solid candidates that can explain what they believe, and that they've got to have conviction. They've got to have fight in them. Talking tough isn't enough. We need more Governor DeSantis around the country. Just not enough. We need more Jim Jordans in Congress. It's as simple as that. All right. This is Carl Jackson and for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Surprise. Sharon and I.
Sharon and you what?
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hanning, it is good to have you home.
Nona, it's Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Really though, thanks for thinking of me for this position.
I thought about you first. Come on, growing up, I had a huge crush on you.
There are things that we all need to change about ourselves, but we can't blame God because He helps us change.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Two things are happening. One is that parents across the board are starting to speak up and not take this anymore. You've seen in Loudoun, Virginia, on the critical race theory issue just the last couple of weeks, school board meetings where parents have lined up by the hundreds. They are unloading on these school boards. I have seen people activate in ways that I didn't see them in the prosperous years of President Trump. People are mad. This is not the way life goes. And to your point about girls that are competing with all of their might and they're falling short, they're not just giving up on the dream of winning that race. They're losing college scholarship opportunities. 2 years ago in Connecticut, in the high school girls track division, 15 state all-time records were shattered by two boys that ran as girls in that division.
But the leaders of the state let this happen, Kevin. Can you imagine adult grown men and women elected to these positions, intelligent professional people, let this happen? Those people should be hung out to dry. Those people should have people go to their homes and say, demand that either you change this or you need to resign.
What is the key between those local officials and the Biden administration? I mean, Biden came into office and said, we're gonna not just protect transgenders' ability to compete in women's divisions, we're gonna expand it. And he's tried to force down executive orders on the public schools across the country to adopt it. They haven't all gone with it, and some states are fighting it pretty aggressively. Florida and Texas have told him to go pound sand. That's what should be happening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip. Why does a kid die? Drug dealer get off scot-free.
The only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you, or you can be a bearer of the light.
So just think of it as calling for backup.
Officer down, officer. You're the one God's called to be a shepherd.
Keeper, do you know who I am?
You are the author?
I am.
I don't know you.
Keeper, it's your son.
Hurry it up! Time is short.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
What is your message to those who think this isn't a big deal or who feel cowed and intimidated? What do you say to them?
Anytime you say something like what I'm about to say, I'm sure it can be abused and misused, so I'll be very careful in how I say it. I've never read Hitler's Mein Kampf, but I've picked it up recently in the past week because I'm interested in learning everything I can about history. After spending just a day with his Mein Kampf, the spirit and essence of his race hatred that shows up in that book, a set of 2 books, is very similar to what I'm seeing show up in How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
I want to talk about what's happening in New York with Letitia James and what I consider to be a political persecution unlike anything, I think, in American political history. How are you guys dealing with this? And do you guys see this as, you obviously said this last night, but as a continuation of almost this 5-year political witch hunt?
100%. I mean, it's pretty clear when the Attorney General of a state, without any information, literally campaigns on saying, "Hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to lock them up, we're going to do this, that, and the other." It's pretty amazing that they can get away with it, and then they do it, and then they do it for 5 years. And the reality is this: there's no recourse. There's no one keeping them in check, Charlie. They can just do this. You have nowhere to appeal it to. You're going to appeal it to a leftist judge in New York who feels the same way. They're utilizing their taxpayer-funded offices in a political vendetta to try to damage my father. And the reality is this: even after 5 years, in search of a crime, right? They've been looking for 5 years. They're getting closer, Charlie. We've been hearing this now literally for half a decade, and yet there's still nothing there, and yet no one's stopping them. So as crime rates go through the roof in New York, as murder rates go through the roof, as businesses are going out of business because of New York's disastrous recovery response, they're spending taxpayer dollars on a political witch hunt against Donald Trump rather than, I don't know, murderers. This is what's going on in America. They're outraged when this stuff happens in, I guess, Belarus recently, right?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're longing for a place that feels like pre-pandemic,
Welcome back to the program. This is the Larry Elder program coming to you, or Larry Elder Show coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. The number to call in to be a part of the program is 888-971-7243. Larry Elder just tweeted this. I'm suing the California Secretary of State to honor the required items we submitted in order to run and to put me back on the ballot in the California recall election. I will not stand for these shenanigans, and I know you won't either. Will you chip in to back up our fight? You can go to secure.electelder.com, secure.electelder.com. Now remember, Governor Gavin Newsom, the Greasemeister, Governor Gavin Newsom has plenty of money at his disposal, an unlimited amount of money. As a matter of fact, he has some of my money and people's money, all taxpayers all across the United States, because the Democrat Party wants you to believe that Governor Gavin Newsom has done such a great job that he's created this surplus in the state of California. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Larry Elder doesn't have those type of funds. He doesn't have the government at his disposal, the Biden White House at his disposal to just send him cash to try to buy his gubernatorial seat. So you can go to secure.electelder.com, secure.electelder.com. Props Forgotten Man. Here's another idea. So you're getting that $600 crack cocaine, that heroin fix, that welfare check. $600 one time to keep you in poverty, or you can donate that $600 welfare check and give yourselves, you Californians, a better opportunity, better income overall in the long run by donating to electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. That's what I do. I'm sorry. I'm not dumb enough to be bought off by politicians. I'm so sick and tired of the corrupt ones getting away with this stuff, with this nonsense. That governor is a total disaster. And it's not just because he's a Democrat. Listen to the guy. The guy locks the state of California down, and he doesn't even have the sense to make sure he follows his own rules. The same is true with Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. The same is true with Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago. These people care about power. They think you're babies. They think they're better than you. They think they're smarter than you. Electelder.com, 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 or go to secure.electelder.com, secure.electelder.com, secure.electelder.com. Turn that $600, make that $600 welfare check an investment into a better future for California. And for you Californians, period. That's what I do. Anyway, let's go to the lines real quick. We've got Gloria in Dallas, Texas. Gloria, you got the mic.
How are you? Good afternoon, Carl.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. You?
Good, thank you. What do you got for me, Gloria?
Well, a lot of black folks, because Donald Trump kept hollering about he's going to make America great again, make America great again. Well, a lot of black folks thought he was talking about calling back slavery, trying to call back slavery for blacks. That's why a lot of them wouldn't vote for him, because he kept saying that. And that's probably another reason why he lost.
So you're I just want to be clear, Gloria. So you're saying that black people overwhelmingly did not vote for Donald Trump because they thought he wanted to reinstitute slavery?
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard in person. I heard it on the news and everything.
Okay, you don't believe that though, do you?
Well, if I believed it, I would never vote. If I had believed that, I would never voted for him.
Okay, I just wanted to make clear. You know what, Gloria? I'm glad. So you did vote for Donald Trump then?
I sure did.
Okay, and so Gloria, I thank you so much. This is this is a good thing for me to talk about real quickly. Gloria, I appreciate you being out there, and I appreciate you bringing this up. Let me go ahead and let me just go ahead and tailgate, if you will, off of this point. Gloria, thanks for the call. All right, so blacks didn't vote for Trump. And by the way, Trump did increase the black vote. He got 8% of the black vote, which is relatively standard. I think Romney got as much or close to. But so he got about 8% of the black vote in 2016. And even according to Vox, he upped that vote by 50%. So he got approximately 12% as far as we know in 2020. So the black vote did increase for Donald Trump. Now, you guys may say, well, those numbers aren't huge. They aren't massive, this and that. Listen, all you need are a few points here, a few points there. Like the article that I read from NPR, where this gentleman, and I forget his name, admitted that all across the country, in every precinct across the country where there was a concentration of Latinos, Trump increased his voter percentage by 6 to 9 points. This is, when you consider the Electoral College, you have to make inroads here. You have to make inroads there. But I got to speak to the black community. Real quick. And Gloria makes a good point. This is sometimes you got to be real. You got to deal in tough love terms. If you're dumb enough to think that Donald Trump would return you to slavery, I wish you wouldn't vote. I don't care about your skin color. And particularly people that say that are anti-Second Amendment. If you're dumb enough to think that Donald Trump will return you to slavery, we're the Republican Party. So we're the anti-slavery, we're the anti-polygamy party. That's how we were founded. See, this is the stuff that's so frustrating. And this is the stuff that a lot of conservatives don't understand how uninformed, ill-informed, misinformed a lot of people in minority communities are, sadly, particularly in the black community, because you've had an ongoing attack by the Democratic machine, whether it be Democrat politicians, whether it be the media, the Don Lemons, the Joy Reids of the world that are multimillionaires, very successful, but telling people they can't get ahead. LeBron James, all of these phonies, all of these frauds. And sadly, black people have bought this stuff hook, line, and sinker to the detriment of the black community. The Constitution is the most amazing man-made document ever. We have the Bill of Rights. We have the Second Amendment. One of the black codes, a lot of former freedmen weren't allowed to own guns because slave owners were afraid that they'd retaliate. And we have blacks in cities all across the world, blue cities all across the world. No guns here, no guns here, no guns here. I remember thinking like that. When I lived in LA, I thought the same thing. I was scared of guns, even though I could get my hands on one. And I did on a couple occasions. And then I come to Florida where people are all into the Second Amendment, guns everywhere. And the crime is not near as bad as the inner city of California. And I'm like, what's going on? It's people that love freedom. It's people that respect life. So you got black people that won't stand up for abortion or against abortion when you have a Democratic machine that's telling us to kill our own children, to kill our own babies. You won't stand up for the Second Amendment so we can defend our lives, so we won't be defenseless like that young black man that was in the car in Los Angeles, shot dead on Instagram, and you got the nerve to say Donald Trump would have reeled you back in slavery. You're reeling yourself back into slavery, black people. Get off of that Democratic plantation. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
And so, Don, a question I get a lot, and people are emailing us, freedom@charliekirk.com right now, is how is your family holding up in the midst of this? How is your father holding up? I mean, after delivering results for our country, doing everything he said he was going to do, people kind of take me aside. They say, hey, How are they hanging in there? Any insight you can give us, Don, into that?
Yeah, listen, we're doing well, maybe because we're a bit masochistic. We sort of like to be in the fight, and more importantly, because the fight is worth it. I mean, you brought up, opening this thing, my book, Liberal Privilege, like it's literally about all of these things, whether it's the sort of faulty persecutions, whether it's the ongoing aspects of this. I mean, look at what's going on even, take January 6th, okay? And say what you want about it. Like, if you commit a crime, you should commit a crime, but the FBI and the highest levels of law enforcement, anyone who is, if you are within about 2,000 miles of Washington, D.C., and you're a conservative, it's like the FBI is putting have you seen this man? He was seen somewhere within 1,500 miles of D.C. that day. Let's find him. But 13, 14 months of looting, of arson, burning our cities down, taking over buildings. Charlie, I've been told that that's insurrection. I've been told that's insurrection, and yet there doesn't seem to be any interest in looking into that insurrection. It's total pass. And this is how disgusting it's been. And that's my point, I guess. We have to stay in the fight. We have to be engaged. You and I both understand how much of a disadvantage you are in if you're a conservative. You understand, you get no help from the mainstream media. You get no help from print media. You get no help from social media. Frankly, they're working actively against us.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
The community is left in shock as former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
We don't make an example out of this guy, the public will crucify us.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
No one's left inside for the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not going to stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Deniss Prager Show.
In order to save the planet from catastrophic climate change, Americans will have to cut their energy use by more than 90%. And families of 4 should live in housing no larger than 640 square feet. 640 square feet is 20 by 30. Family of 4 should live in a place 20 by 30. So 4 into 600 is 150. So per person, it's 150 square feet. So it's pretty much a jail cell of space.
I don't know why this song takes me back to Cali, but it actually does. Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Listen, I just real quick, I'm going to go to the lines here, but before I do, let me just wrap up this issue on DACA. I wanted to go into both the Georgia elections and the Arizona audit, but the lines are lighting up, so I want to make sure that I get to some of your calls, so stay there. Don't go anywhere, por favor. So anyway, just real quickly, this DACA issue is a very big deal, and you guys know that it's a big deal, and I think it really puts the Biden administration in a quandary because, as I said, U.S. District Judge Andrew Hanen barred any new applicants for applying for DACA, but he left the program intact for the existing recipients. So you have the Biden administration openly, you have the border crisis that they're ignoring. They're ignoring Cuba as well. So the Biden administration is importing Democrats across our southern border. And I think this is going to be a problem because as people wake up to the travesty that illegal immigration, especially at this alarming rate, causes in their own communities, I think there's going to be a backlash against the Democrat Party. Not to mention when Obama implemented DACA, he circumvented not just the rule of law, but just think about this in a practical manner. Obama circumvented you and I. See, we go to the ballot box and we vote for our legislators, whether it's on a national level or a state level, and then we expect them to represent us. So what Obama did by implementing DACA, he said, screw all of you. None of you guys matter. I'm not a fan of executive orders. I don't care if Republicans do it. I don't care if Democrats do it. I'm not a fan of executive orders. There's a reason why we have the Senate, the House, the presidency. They need to draw out legislation. It's as simple as that. It's cruel what the Democrats are doing to these DACA recipients because they just want them for a political ping pong. Democrats have been talking about the DREAM Act forever. When Obama was in office, he could have issued amnesty. He didn't do it. He had a clear majority, super majority, his first couple of years in office. Right now, I understand the margins are razor thin. But let's face it, we got a lot of weak Republicans in Washington, D.C., both in the House and the Senate. And Democrats are running shop. They have no excuses. They have the White House. They have the Senate. They have the House of Representatives. They have the media. They're even getting the NFL now. I'll have to talk to you about that a little bit tomorrow. They've got it all. No excuses. Let's go to the lines. We've got Pete. Oh, live read. American financing. Look at your loan. Mortgage rates have actually dropped again, and there are quite a few options available in the twos, which is why you need to look at your loan, look at your rate. If you're paying more than that, see if you can drop it. It just takes 10 minutes to start when you call American Financing. Take advantage of a free, no obligation mortgage review and let an expert mortgage consultant present custom loans that are advantageous to you. No pressure, no upfront fees either, because rates really are near all-time lows and chances are you can benefit. You may even be able to postpone 2 mortgage payments. Call 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026 or visit AmericanFinancing.net. American Financing, NMLS 182334, NMLS, consumeraccess.org. Let me just share this real quick before I go to the lines. I got this from a listener, George. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, but I appreciate it. George Van Valkenburg. This is pretty cool. And this Winston Churchill is just a meme that he sent. So I want to give him props. I appreciate it. Success, it says at the top of the meme, is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. Man, you got to work hard. That applies to this election, the next year's election. Guys, we can't be worried about the cheating. We just have to be worried about our state legislatures correcting all of this, all of the opportunities the Democrats were given to cheat. They used COVID, right, for cover in order to change all of these laws, going through illegal processes in some cases where the legislature was supposed to do it and they did not. So anyway, we just got to get that stuff changed and we got to go out and vote in masses. I think we can win this thing. Arizona is getting this audit done. Georgia we're finding out more things about Georgia every single day. It's not going to change. You're not going to see Trump in the White House. I'm not going to blow smoke up your, whatever. You're not going to see Trump in the White House. But what you are going to see, you see more Americans, you see more patriots fighting back that love this country. You're going to see more Republicans, I believe, held accountable to make sure that our election processes are fair. They're starting to make that happen. From Texas to Arizona to Georgia, even in Florida, where our system is pretty good. Anyway, let's go to the lines. We've got Pete from Frisco, Texas. Pete, you've got the mic.
Hey, how are you there? Carl.
I'm doing good.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
You're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, what I really want to know is that they keep calling things racist, like, gotta have an ID to vote. Hey, I took the vaccine the other day, and I had to have an ID.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. This is a good opportunity, Pete, for us to push back. It really is. If everything is racist, nothing is racist. It's not racism to require the same of blacks that you require of whites and of everyone else. And honestly, I just think we need to start saying this stuff out loud. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people just don't think about this stuff. They're bombarded with messages. I don't care if you're on your phone. A lot of younger people that just may get their news from Twitter, or they may watch CNN, they may watch MSNBC, or their parents do, and their parents just share that information with them, and then they just buy it hook, line, and sinker. But I think it's really time to start pushing back on this narrative. We're not racist. We've overcome racism. We have our heroes. Are there some racist people? Yeah, there will always be racist people. Always. But as I read to you the numbers last week, and I don't recall them off the top of my head, but I believe at the turn of the 20th century or thereabouts, the KKK had a membership of about 4 million people. And today, or in recent years, it was about 3,000 people. You're talking about a population of 330 million. This is nonsense. We're not a racist nation. We are far from it. This is the greatest country for blacks to immigrate to. And you don't see blacks leaving. You don't see blacks emigrating, right? You don't see blacks going back to, if they come here, you don't see blacks going back to Haiti. You don't see blacks going back to parts of Africa. It does not happen. Why doesn't it happen? Because they instinctively know this is the best freaking country in the world. It's really as simple as that. I do have to.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
Former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle. And
take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
And so, Don, a question I get a lot, and where people are emailing us, freedom@charliekirk.com right now, is how is your family holding up in the midst of this? How is your father holding up? I mean, after delivering results for our country, doing everything he said he was going to do, people kind of take me aside. They say, hey, how are they hanging in there? Any insight you can give us, Don, into that?
Yeah, listen, we're doing well, maybe because we're a bit masochistic. We sort of like to be in the fight, and more importantly, because the fight is worth it. I mean, you brought up, opening this thing, my book, Liberal Privilege, like it's literally about all of these things, whether it's the sort of faulty persecutions, whether it's the ongoing aspects of this. I mean, look at what's going on, even, take January 6th, okay? And say what you want about it. Like if you commit a crime, you should commit a crime, but the FBI and the highest levels of law enforcement, anyone who is, if you are within about 2,000 miles of Washington, D.C., and you're a conservative, it's like the FBI is putting have you seen this man? He was seen somewhere within 1,500 miles of D.C. that day. Let's find him. But 13, 14 months of looting, of arson, burning our cities down, taking over buildings. Charlie, I've been told that that's insurrection. I've been told that's insurrection, and yet there doesn't seem to be any interest in looking into that insurrection. It's total pass. And this is how disgusting it's been. And that's my point, I guess. We have to stay in the fight. We have to be engaged. You and I both understand how much of a disadvantage you are in if you're a conservative. You understand you get no help from the mainstream media. You get no help from print media. You get no help from social media. Frankly, they're working actively against us.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
The community is left in shock as former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
If we don't make an example out of this guy, the public will crucify us.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
No one's left inside for the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not gonna stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Deniss Prager Show.
In order to save the planet from catastrophic climate change, Americans will have to cut their energy use by more.
Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I am your special guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky. Electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. By the way, check me out on Facebook. Like and share my post, facebook.com/Carl Jackson Radio. Twitter @Carl Jackson Show. Frequent my website, carljacksonshow.com. All right, we were talking about DACA, but I've got a lot of calls from you guys interested in different things. I want to try to get you into this mix. But honestly, I'm excited for this DACA thing because I'm tired of people being used. I'm tired of the Democrat Party using people, and hopefully they'll start, more people will start waking up to who the Democrat Party really is. And it's a bunch of people. Why do you think you got LBJ with the Great Society, the war on poverty? Nothing's changed in the hood. Nothing's changed. Yet people continuously vote for these people. The truth is they have no intentions of helping people. How does a person that doesn't know your name, that doesn't care about you, how are they going to help you? It makes no sense. This is good news. This is breaking. So, Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader, has apparently announced some of the people that are going to sit on the January 6th commission, some of the Republicans. And I absolutely love this. By the way, Julie Kelly of AM Greatness, she is the writer, amgreatness.com, to read when it comes to all things concerning the January 6th Capitol riots. So House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, props Breitbart, plans to announce Monday the names of the 5 Republicans who will sit on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's committee to investigate the riot that occurred January 6th at the U.S. Capitol. And don't let the left lie to you. Don't let the left lie. There were, literally, I heard estimates of anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million people there. And you hear of 200 people going into the Capitol, cutting up, but not causing violence, not with weapons. Therefore, this is just hype. This isn't any type of insurrection. And you have the Weather Underground. I'd ask people, do you know about the Weather Underground? They attacked the Capitol twice. Like, seriously. This is total, complete, and utter nonsense. But I'm glad to hear that Jim Jordan, Jim Jordan will be on that panel as well. You have Troy Nehls, a Republican from Texas, Kelly Armstrong from North Dakota, Rodney Davis, a Republican from Illinois. It's a 13-member select committee, but Jim Jordan, I think, counts for about 3 or 4 people. He's a bulldog when it comes to this stuff, but all of them voted against the committee, and all of them voted against the impeachment of Trump. Having said that, let's go ahead and go to the lines. We have Patricia from California. Patricia, you've got the mic.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I appreciate it. I wanted to call and say, you know what? I really appreciate you all there. And I wanted to say that the CPS, which they call themselves the Children Protective Services, they're a big issue in the state of California. We live in the state of California, and we have a family that we love, and they have a son that had cancer. I say had because his doctors, God blessed, the family with great doctors and medical care for their son. And, their son is now, like I said, the doctors say that he had leukemia. The situation is the CPS is trying to keep their son from them. The CPS also is known for taking, I agree with you when you said that there is not a racism issue in this country, but there are racists in this country. And the way I feel that this country still propagates
30
racism
seconds, Patricia.
is through their CPS system. They actually take a higher percentage of black children from their parents. There are children in California City that they're looking for. They were adopted by foster people, and they are missing, and they haven't found them. They have been missing since a little before Christmas last year. And so Patricia, I'm hoping that you can raise some awareness.
Do me a favor. Shoot me an email. Talk to William offline. We just didn't have enough time to go into that. I appreciate the call. I've heard plenty of horror stories about CPS. I want to see if there's any legitimacy to that. William, how much time do we have? Okay. All right. This is Carl Jackson and for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
Only one's left inside. Well, the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not going to stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Surprise!
Sharon and I.
Sharon and you what?
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hanning! It is good to have you home.
Nona, it's Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Really, though, thanks for thinking of me for this position.
I thought about you first. Come on, growing up, I had a huge crush on you.
There are things that we all need to change about ourselves, but we can't blame God because He helps us change.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
2 things are happening. One is that parents across the board are starting to speak up and not take this anymore. You've seen in Loudoun, Virginia, on the critical race theory issue just the last couple of weeks, school board meetings where parents have lined up by the hundreds. They are unloading on these school boards. I have seen people activate in ways that I didn't see them in the prosperous years of President Trump. People are mad. This is not the way life goes. And to your point about girls that are competing with all of their might and they're falling short, they're not just giving up on the dream of winning that race. They're losing college scholarship opportunities. 2 years ago in Connecticut, in the high school girls track division, 15 state all-time records were shattered by two boys that ran as girls in that division.
But the leaders of the state let this happen, Kevin. Can you imagine adult grown men and women elected to these positions, intelligent professional people, let this happen? Those people should be hung out to dry. Those people should have people go to their homes and say, demand that either you change this or you need to resign.
What is the key between those local officials and the Biden administration? I mean, Biden came into office and said, we're gonna not just protect transgenders' ability to compete in women's divisions, we're going to expand it. And he's tried to force down executive orders on the public schools across the country to adopt it. They haven't all gone with it, and some states are fighting it pretty aggressively. Florida and Texas have told him to go pound sand. That's what should be happening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip. Why does a kid die? Drug dealer get off scot-free.
The only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you.
All right, welcome back to the program. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great El Dursky. Okay, let's go right to the lines here. Actually, before I do this, let me just read this one part here of this story. Props Chris Kobach. He wrote in Breitbart, DACA allowed virtually any illegal alien up to the age of 31 as of June 15, 2012, when it was announced, who claimed that he entered the United States before the age of 16 to gain deferred action and remain in the country. Imagine how many people lost their jobs. I'm not sure that they did serious background checks. This is all just a scam and a fraud to create another victim class. It's what the left wants to do. It's what they're good at. They're not good at legislation, as you can see by Biden and Harris and the White House. They're a complete and utter disaster. But what they're good at is causing chaos. What they're good at is causing division. What they're good at is keeping people in poverty so that they retain control and power. Let's go to Sherilyn in Houston, Texas. Sherilyn, you've got the mic. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes. And I
okay,
just wanted to come in on one of your previous callers who said that she was trying to explain why black people didn't vote for Donald Trump is because they thought that he was going to bring back slavery. That may be one part of it, but the major part of it is that blacks have been indoctrinated from generation to generation to vote Democrat if they vote. Yeah. They don't care so much about the issues. They just care more about that it's a Democrat than a Republican. Kick them in their behind over and over, but I guess the pain feels less if it's a Democrat doing it than a Republican doing it. And as far as worthless people that we send to Congress, Al Green and Sheila Jackson Lee are two of the best examples, because they do nothing for the community. I mean, she show up at every funeral, and if there's a politician show up in town, she show up so she can get her mug on the TV, but she just keep getting reelected over and over and over. I guess it's just because that's what they're used to. I mean, you have good people who come in and try to, run against them, but she is so entrenched and he is so entrenched that they basically don't stand a chance of winning. And then, another thing that really angers me about the black community is that, and I think the Democrats do it a lot because they know racism is a trigger word for blacks. And now they've gone, I guess lost this thing, so now they've gone to systemic racism. They're trying to change it up a little.
Good call.
But when I see these people, especially these young people, talking about systemic racism, I say none of them have ever picked up a hoe and chopped no cotton. If you say hoe to them, they think you're talking about one of their women. They don't have an idea of what a hoe is.
Cheryl Lynn, I love you. I love you.
They don't know nothing about hard work. Instead of them going to school and doing what they need to do, they out on the public TV destroying and talking about systemic racism. They got more opportunities now than we've ever had. Yeah. My parents, they made it when it was systemic racism. And now these goofballs are out just wasting their opportunities. And I think that Martin Luther King would just be so ashamed and disappointed at, the stuff that they went to get them the opportunities, and now they just squandering them out.
Cheryl Lynn, thank you for the call. Good call. Good call. That call was inspiring to me. Listen, it's true. I mean, our educational system, and I need to talk about this. I'll make sure I talk about this tomorrow. The late, great Walter E. Williams wrote a great column back in June of last year, right before he passed. And now you have the Baltimore school system where the GPA is about, on average, I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, you have so many people getting a 1.0 grade point average or less in some cases. It's pretty amazing. And sadly, I think the Democratic Party is systemically racist, particularly against minority and the black community especially, because the goal is to keep the black man down, keep the black woman dumb and uneducated, unable to think critically. So as Cheryl Lynn said, we will continue to vote for the party, but we won't look at the policies. And I think you can blame a lot of that on the government school system. Sadly, that is the case. You can, and honestly, listen, the blacks, you have to wake up. You have to read, read as much as possible. You can't get out of the hood. You can get out of the hood in your mind by reading different books on finances and education and history, whatever it may be. Just read. Okay, how much? Okay, let's go to the next call. We have Don in Chicago. Don, you got the mic.
Yeah, real quick. Talking about, was at a meeting yesterday. Heard a couple of good stories you might want to share. First, I want to say the last caller was fantastic. I loved her. But one story I heard was from a gentleman who works at a health club, and it was a young girl, 12-year-old kid, who was working out like crazy. They wore the mask and everything. Finally asked her one day, he goes, are you trying to train in for something in particular? And she said, oh, no, this is during COVID. She said, no, I need to do this for mental health. And it was heartbreaking because it's what happened to so many kids with, not being in school and the schools being shut down. There was more mental health issues in a lot of these kids than we realized. It was one thing I heard. Another thing, to piggyback kind of what the last caller was saying, I did some research. The 1860 census data shows that 2 to 5% of the country during the height of slavery owned slaves. Only 2 to 5% owned slaves, and about 10% of the country was 3 million were slaves, and 30 million were free people. So the country was 10% slaves, 2 to 5% owners of slaves, which means 95% of the people in this country had nothing to do with it, and neither did their descendants. People back then basically knew you would look out your front door, you saw about a mile around you. That's all you knew. You didn't know what was going on in the next town, next county. It's not like it was systematic all over back then. I heard someone talk against CRT and how terrible that is. In Illinois, they're also going to be instituting a program that will teach kids in 3rd and 5th grade sex education to teach them how to use condoms.
Oh, man, this is a disaster. Don, thanks for the call. Good call. Thanks for the call. The left is an absolute disaster. I don't have the solution for Illinois or Chicago. It's just so corrupt. But anyway, we got to fight them wherever we can, wherever we have a hope of winning. We'll be back in a few.
All right, one more and we're done.
listening now to The Charlie Kirk Show.
I want to talk about what's happening in New York with Letitia James and what I consider to be a political persecution unlike anything, I think, in American political history. How are you guys dealing with this? And do you guys see this as, you obviously said this last night, but as a continuation of almost this 5-year political witch hunt?
100%. I mean, it's pretty clear when the Attorney General of a state, without any information, literally campaigns on saying, "Hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to lock them up, we're going to do this, that, and the other." It's pretty amazing that they can get away with it, and then they do it, and then they do it for 5 years. And the reality is this: there's no recourse. There's no one keeping them in check, Charlie. They can just do this. You have nowhere to appeal it to. You're going to appeal it to a leftist judge in New York who feels the same way. They're utilizing their taxpayer-funded offices in a political vendetta to try to damage my father. And the reality is this: even after 5 years, in search of a crime, right? They've been looking for 5 years. They're getting closer, Charlie. We've been hearing this now literally for half a decade, and yet there's still nothing there. And yet, no one's stopping them. So as crime rates go through the roof in New York, as murder rates go through the roof, as businesses are going out of business because of New York's disastrous recovery response, they're spending taxpayer dollars on a political witch hunt against Donald Trump rather than, murderers. This is what's going on in America. They're outraged when this stuff happens in, Belarus recently, right?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
If you're longing for a place that feels like pre-pandemic America, I'll tell you right now, Las Vegas is one of them. What's your community? Tell me what your town is like and how you would respond to being in a theater with 1,800 other people, elbow to elbow. Here's Mike. What's the upstate of South Carolina, Mike, life like, Mike?
Mike, it is wide open for business, baby. We are rocking and rolling, and we cannot get enough people to work.
Oh, man. Yeah, I play this on my local show.
Love it.
Another land. Hey, so it looks like VP Kamala Harris has been tested for COVID. So we'll wait to see what's going on with that. The White House contradicted themselves before. They were saying basically she was far away from them or something to that effect. The Democrats that abandoned their duties in the state of Texas. You know what I would be doing if I were in the state of Texas? I understand if they're in those seats, maybe they live in blue districts or whatever. I would be sending out Republicans to campaign, knocking on doors. I would say these people abandoned you. You pay them to represent you. They left. It was all shenanigans. It's all games. It's all drama. It's all theater. That's what Republicans should do. All right, you're leaving. Let's see if we can, let's find somebody to run in your place that can beat you in an election, or at least scare them enough to do so. But that's what, in my opinion, what they should be doing. Okay, let's go to the lines really quick, guys. You're going to have to be quick for me. We got Steve in Sacramento, California. Steve, you've got the mic.
Hey, Carl, really glad to hear you. Man, you're awesome. And Cheryl Lynn, she was fantastic. That was awesome.
Wasn't she?
Hey, just real quick, the reason why I called is because they always said before the election that if Trump got over 10% of the black vote, he would win. Mm-hmm. So that 10% of the black vote, along with the increase in Hispanic votes, along with the increase in total votes that Trump got over 2016 when he won the first time, how on earth can they justify that he did not win without massive fraud? And the caller from before who said that nothing is going to happen. I really agree with that because we've got a feckless, just absolutely cowardly Republican Party that refuses to do anything. This election was stolen, and we did nothing about it.
Okay, so
And that's what I have to say.
Steve, I appreciate the call. Here's the difference. You do have a lot of feckless Republicans. I wish I could argue against you when it comes to that. But you do. But again, also what we see today are more Americans like yourself rising up. More parents that weren't aware of the whether it's transgenderism that an earlier caller from Chicago was talking about, whether it's critical race theory being taught to their kids. More parents are standing up. And again, the left used the cover of COVID to do things that they wouldn't have gotten away with otherwise. And at least you're seeing some Republican states tightening up on election laws, even in places like Michigan, where where there's more Republicans in the legislature. They're trying to get stuff done there. We just have to keep them accountable, keep the fire under their feet. It's up to us. They work for us. So, yeah, they may be feckless, but if we remain quiet, it won't happen. How much time do we have? Oh, I'm sorry, Lee, and I'm so sorry. I wish I would have gotten to your call. Until next time, don't go where you're doing good. God bless.